Hello my fellow creators and welcome to my YouTube channel. For today's video, I will be creating a Christmas card using some non-traditional Christmas colors. I'll begin by using Simon Says Stamp's Triangle Blast Stencil. I tape my cardstock to the back of it so it stays put while I spray on Ranger's Distress Oxide sprays. I'm using Mermaid Lagoon and Picked Raspberry. So as not to waste the wonderful ink left on the stencil, I brought in one more piece of cardstock and laid it over the stencil, rubbing the leftover ink onto that piece of cardstock. This leaves me with another beautiful panel to use for a second card. While I set aside those two panels to dry, I brought in some Bristol Smooth watercolor paper and sprayed it liberally with water. I then put some Nuvo shimmer powders on that, using Atlantis Burst, Cherry Bomb, and Violet Brocade. I wasn't really sure if I liked that first watercolor panel I did, so I taped down a second one and repeated the process, spraying down the paper and then sprinkling it with the shimmer powders. Once they were both dry, I really liked both of them. They each had their own unique design. At this point, I brought in my Mini MISTI so that I could emboss these images from Simon Says Stamp's Festive Trees and Color Me Trees stamp sets. Using Simon Says Stamp clear embossing ink, I pressed the image onto my watercolor paper. I then sprinkled the images with Brutus Monroe's Alabaster White embossing powder. I really like the way this detail powder covers my images so perfectly. I repeated the process with the second watercolor panel, only this time I used Simon Says Stamp white pigment ink. At this point, I brought out my Sizzix Sidekick and the coordinating dies to cut out those images. I also did some fussy cutting for those images that I did not have the coordinating dies for. Now that my card panels are dry, I pulled out the scallop rectangle die by Pink and Main and cut them both out on my Big Shot. I then brought out my original MISTI and stamped the sentiment on the bottom right hand corner of each panel using VersaFine Clair Nocturne ink. I then decided to layer my panel on some pink cardstock. I'm not really sure what color it is, as this is something that was in my stash. I then brought in my cutout images and arranged them on the card how I thought they looked best. Once I was happy with the arrangement of the images, I adhered them to the panel using art glitter glue as well as Simon Says stamp foam tape. At this point, I decided to bring in some enamel dots that I had in my stash. Now that my first panel was complete, I added it to a card base using my art glitter glue. From here, I pulled in my second panel and repeated the process by arranging my images how I thought they looked best and adhering them to the panel. I really like how these two cards came out using non-traditional Christmas colors. How about you? I would be thrilled if you subscribed to my channel or followed me on my other social media platforms. Have a beautiful, safe, and creative day.